And welcome to Dago Esco Stadium. Charles Wolin, Joe Dugan, alongside me, of course, the broadcast team and the coach, of course, himself, Joe Dugan, and none other than Josiah Destin. Destin, who happens to be from Los Angeles, who went to Venice High School. He's a Venetian. He is a Venetian Los Angelonian. And he says to the Hilltop faithful, okay, Josiah, I gotta run.
Yeah, I gotta take some beautiful pictures. I'll be back, alright? Thank you guys. See ya.
You're taking pictures of me? Do you want to? Yeah.
I can't get. What's up? There you go. Good to see you. Is there any others? Yeah, Dom is coming here, but I just gotta turn on.
produced by Nathan Simeon. produced by Nathan Simeon. They met in the heat of Texas, and today they meet in the heat of San Francisco as the summer begins here in San Francisco. Yes, a September summer in San Francisco. It is San Francisco hosting Baylor, and it is live, and it is next right here on the WCC networks. Good afternoon and welcome to historic and prestigious Memorial Steve Negoesco Stadium. Charles Wolin and Joe Dugan with you on the call. This is the second time that these two teams have met in program history. Last year's result was a 1-1 affair in Texas. We'll give you the starting 11 for Baylor. There are no changes from the team that tied on the weekend against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Lauren Trawick, the goalkeeper, 4 across the back line. Hannah Augustin, Kaylee Abels, Hallie Augustin, and Ava Kohlberg at right back. The midfield 3 is Gabby Mueller, Ashley Merrill, and Blythe Obar. The front 3, Jenna Patterson, Elizabeth Koyman, and Micah Beasley. For San Francisco, they make just one change from the team that tied against Cal 1 week ago tonight. And that is Alex Carpio takes her place after scoring her first collegiate goal on the left-hand side of a front 3, leading the line with Kaylin Lunsford and Gabby Rizzo. The midfield 3, the customary Jamison Ward, Marissa Vasquez, and El Solo. The back line is headed up by Allison Kamansky, Kat Hill, and Kaya Pagoni at center back. And at right back, Samantha Kerwood-Wagner. The goalkeeper today, Megan Nail. Good afternoon, Joe Dugan. It is a hot and muggy San Francisco this evening on this kind of early tea time, 4 p.m. fixture between these two sides. The ball comes in here. It's a nice ball. It's Lunsford. She gets the shot in early to Lauren Trawick, who makes the save. But good afternoon, Joe Dugan. 2 programs on the rise with 2 spectacular head coaches.
Good afternoon, Charles. Great to be here. That type of ball is exactly the way Jim Milner wants to start this game. He wants to start off by attacking. He wants to keep Baylor on their heels. He's looking to attack and get on the scoreboard early today.
Corner coming up here to Baylor. The first of the game. Again, these two teams met last year around the same time. The game had to be called due to a heat advisory in the 71st minute. The ball is swerved in. It's a nice corner, and Megan Nail does well.
She certainly does, winning that ball at the highest point before any attacker could get their head on it. USF now on the counterattack.
Here's Gabby Rizzo. Lots of speed on the wings this year for San Francisco. Gabby Rizzo, the sophomore, really coming into her own thus far.
And speaking of coming into their own, Jamison Ward there, number 25, playing that holding midfield position, has been really bright spot for the Dons the last few games. She's that one player who can really spread the ball out. She sees the field really well. She'll put the ball left, right, and center. And again, putting that ball into gaps for attacking opportunities for the Dons.
Goalkeeper closed down. Lunsford, the opening goal in the 3rd minute by Kaylin Lunsford. A high press beats the goalkeeper, Lauren Trawick, who makes a bit of a mistake here. And Kaylin Lunsford makes Baylor pay. San Francisco 1, Baylor 0.
Wow, that's the way any team wants to start, is getting on the scoreboard within the first 2.5 minutes. Now let's see if they can sustain that high level of momentum, that high level of energy. Look for Baylor to bounce back. They're a well-coached team. Let's see how they respond in this adverse situation. It was hilarious. We looked down here at the student section, and students were going crazy, chest bumping each other.
It's a good vantage point, Joe. Well done.
It is, yes. I love their enthusiasm. It's contagious. Now, early goals can be a great advantage and a curse for some teams. You don't want to take your foot off the pedal. That's for sure.
Kamansky's cross.
You don't want to let down, but knowing Jim Millender and Pinjar Najjar, they are not going to let their team for one moment take their eye off the prize.
Head coach Michelle Leonard joined Baylor after coaching for 14 years at Dallas Baptist, where they went to the Final Four last year. Has over 200 plus wins in her tenure. She wants to implement a different style this year. She said the last year's team, they played very, very direct. It's a new style for this year's team. Chance on here. Nice work. Still on, and it's just wide.
And that was just wide, as you said, Charles, just wide of the post. But that forward, number 18, doing very well. Elizabeth Koyman doing very well. And I believe she is from San Jose, California. Fourth-year senior. Maybe this is her homecoming, but she did very well to receive the ball at her feet and turn on a dime, getting that ball almost on target. And back to your point about wanting to play, an attractive possession-style soccer, it is going to take some time. I'm sure she has the talented players and the athletes who want to do it, but it is going to take time for her to implement her style of play. It always does.
Ball bouncing around here, top of the area. It may fall, and almost fell for Koyman. And collected again well by Megan Nail there.
And if I'm Megan Nail, I'm going to be telling Rizzo, you don't mess around with little flicks inside the box. You make sure you clear that ball away.
Last year's match, San Francisco scored first in the 26th minute. Baylor scoring just after the break. Mackenzie Anthony with the goal for Baylor. And then again, the game was called in the 71st minute due to a heat advisory.
Better be safe than sorry. I don't know what the degrees was. I'm sorry if you said that and I missed it, but I'm sure it was very, very hot in Texas. But you can see the style here looking very good for Baylor in terms of knocking it around. You can see both midfielders have their heels on the touchline, really spreading things out, making opportunities for midfielders like this.
3 more games for Baylor before they start their conference play.
And you can see Kamansky almost getting spread out too wide defensively because she's marking that attacker who is so wide, almost heels on the touchline. And then they're leaving gaps between the center back and Kamansky at the left back. So have to be careful of that.
A few weeks until San Francisco has their league play as well. That'll kick off on October 1st for the Dons.
I mean, really, it's preseason until the WCC, or for any team until their league play, almost, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Good chance to see what you got as well, especially the first couple of weeks.
And then if it's only single play, in other words, it's not home and away, it's just a sprint in conference.
Nice work here on the right side. It's Jenna Patterson, and out for another corner. The visitors have another opportunity.
Yeah, Kamansky did very well to recover, catch up to that, deny the cross, but Baylor does earn a very valuable corner kick.
Yeah, they're quite good at set pieces. They've scored off of a corner earlier this year and another set piece as well.
There's a little bit of a breeze, not too strong. It shouldn't affect the play, but you never know.
That's a great corner. Megan Nail is there and comes down with it. Samantha Kerwood-Wagner asking for the foul there, as Nail taking her time to restart for the Dons. Well, there was disappointment for San Francisco last Thursday. They scored the opening goal against Cal, only to concede against their former teammate Keely Roy, who scored with just around 6-7 minutes to go as well to tie the match. And it was really back and forth for the final few minutes, but certainly they thought they could get the result in that game.
Well, Keely Roy scored 2 minutes after USF scored, if I'm correct. Maybe 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but they answered very quickly. Cal did.
Another free kick here for the Bears. Away by Vasquez.
Baylor doing a very good job building out of the back. Going through midfield out wide tends to be their method so far. Not really looking directly for that forward, that center forward yet. They want to go through the midfield out wide, then whip it into the center forward through a cross. And as much space as they have here on this beautiful field, they are executing.
Throw in far side, San Francisco. Jim Millender, now in his 11th season, orchestrating his group.
And you can see the Baylor coach really giving more instruction probably than you normally see, Michelle Leonard. But this is her first year, and she's trying to implement, like you said, a new system. So I completely get it. She's given a lot of information for how she wants.
Ball over the top. Vasquez making the run to the channel there. Quick restart by Baylor. Firmly on the front foot, it seems, since San Francisco scored their goal. Now, can there be another counterattack potentially here? Carpio wins it back, closed down.
And Carpio, if she had connected with Vasquez, Vasquez was one-on-one with the defender, and I'm going to bet on Marissa Vasquez any day of the week in that duel.
Gabby Mueller with possession. This is a nice turn by Mueller, dispossessed. And now Carpio. Still Carpio, overlapping run by Rizzo on the right. Still Rizzo, she works her way through. Rizzo on for Lunsford again. Lunsford, a second goal, a wonderful second goal. 11 minutes into this game by Gabby Rizzo. She has a brace, it is early, and she's on a hat trick already. A wonderful counter-attacking goal. San Francisco 2, Baylor 0.
And she slots it home for the 2-0 lead. The game is still very, very young. Time left.
Well, I bet she was waiting for those so far this year. She leads the line well. She doesn't necessarily score every single game, but Kaylin Lunsford gets her first 2 goals for the year thus far.
And that's just going to boost her confidence tenfold. That's what forwards need. They need goals. They need goals to boost their confidence, no doubt about it. But 2 things I like. I like that Leonard from Baylor is continuing to give good information to her players.
Here's Vasquez once more, looking for Carpio.
She doesn't seem to be dwelling on the past. She's giving information to go forward, to stay in this game for her Baylor Bears. And then also, Jim Millender on the Don side is imploring his leaders like Kat Hill in the back, his team captain, to really focus the team, not lose sight of the overall objective, which is to win the game and play their style throughout the entire game.
Well, it's nice to get a second goal so early in this game if you're San Francisco, but they look like they want to add a few more as well. As you had mentioned, Joe, still very early in this fixture.
Well, it takes a lot of pressure off having a 2-0 lead, but Jim Millender and Pinjar Najjar definitely are going to instill that they continue the high momentum, high ball movement, fast pace in order to play the way they want to play in league. It's not just about today. It's about preparing for the WCC conference.
Lots of space here for San Francisco to operate. Stolen here by Ashley Merrill. Over to the right side. Kept back in there by Haley Augustin. Kamansky, left side.
If I'm Baylor, I'm going to continue to play through the midfield, try to get out wide, and try to find the center forward's feet a little bit more often, go a little bit more direct, but on the ground a little bit more often. If I'm USF, I'm going to try to match up Vasquez, Lunsford, Rizzo on one-on-one duels and hope that they can beat their defenders in the attacking third.
Cat Hill loses out there. Here's Ashley Merrill. On the turn, Merrill looking to find Koyman. Can't quite come up with it, Koyman. Beasley tracking it down. Crossed on in, Megan Nail, and that is a fantastic answer by Hannah Augustin, the left back. It is San Francisco 2, Baylor 1.
And that all started with dribbling out of the back from USF. Baylor doing a very good job to counterattack, move the ball to the other side, and then quite frankly, the goalkeeper out of position for a goal for Baylor. All credit to Baylor, but had that over, I think Nail would have done a better job having stayed on her line.
Well, 3 goals in less than 15 minutes. This is quite some offensive showpiece, if you will, thus far. Thus far is what we have to say. This is Kerwood Wagner. Closed down by Micah Beasley. Her diagonal into the channel for Rizzo. Cut out here by Pigoni.
And I think we've talked about this last game. Pigoni is a converted midfielder the last 2 games into a defender, and I think she's doing quite well back there. Seems very comfortable with the ball at her feet, able to break lines from the back line. So I think that's a really nice addition. I wouldn't be surprised if she moves back to midfield at one point, but for now, things look good.
Vasquez's ball for Rizzo, and a little much there for her. But the midfield 3 has had plenty of space, and Jamison Ward, El Solo communicating with one another. Rizzo, El Solo, and now Vasquez. Koyman applying a little bit of pressure. San Francisco on the left. Kamansky. Chance to run at the back now. Here's Koyman. Can they get another flick? Baylor. Out for a Baylor throw-in far side. Here's the goal scorer, Augustin, to Hallie Augustin, and Carpio wins back possession. Still Carpio. This is a nice run. Alex Carpio.
And you can see her putting that on her favorite left foot. Give her an opportunity, and she's going to fire one off.
Kaylee Abels making that tackle there at the last minute. Top of the 18, San Francisco throw in. Had a lot of space to run. One substitute coming shortly for Baylor.
And you can see Baylor really favoring the right side, the right flank, and when they're attacking. I'm not sure if they've come down the left-hand side. Yes, the goal was scored from the left-hand side.
Throwing on that far side. Pinder Najjar saying that training this week was beautiful. Record temperatures here in San Francisco for the San Francisco summer. And for those of you that are tuning in, San Francisco doesn't have a summer during the typical summer months of June, July, and August. The summer really begins at the end of August and into early September, and sometimes trickles all the way into mid-October. Now the ball swerved in here, away by Pigoni. Another good attacking foray by Baylor.
Yeah, USF doesn't have any defensive answers yet as Baylor continues to attack down the right-hand flank.
Throw in far side. Almost like a set piece for Baylor. Kamansky away, and then there's a foul and a free kick going Baylor's way. So the visitors having a good set piece opportunity now.
That was a delayed call, but a call it was, and this is a dangerous area for the Dons defense. Baylor's going to whip this in. They're best to keep this lower than the crossbar and see if they can get an attacking head on this for a goal or a shot.
It's a low cross on the ground. Koyman with a nice flick. Koyman on the left. Koyman back to her right. Koyman, save made by Megan Nail.
And Koyman just did not get all of that for sure. USF avoiding one there. Had she got a hold of that ball, she had the entire goal to shoot into. Both angles.
San Jose native, as you had mentioned, to Valley Christian High School, a senior.
And this is a really good opportunity for USF to take a breath, get their structure in terms of a team formation in shape, and try to really get things going again, because things have definitely fallen off in the last 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Vasquez. Looking for Lunsford and Carpio. Off of the thigh of Kerwood Wagner. And will fall for Lunsford. Now, she has a brace on a hat trick thus far. Throw-in for San Francisco. A much-needed throw-in. Haven't been in the Baylor half for the last few minutes.
Let's see if USF can string together a series of passes, keeping possession as they move forward.
Lunsford. Vasquez just outside the area, supported by El Solo. Top of the area, cut out by Baylor. Koyman on the turn with Cat Hill. Out wide, that's Patterson. Headed back on by Rizzo, but nobody there. Micah Beasley. Ward gets caught up with Micah Beasley. Finds Lunsford.
Yeah, it does very well to get out of that tackle, Ward did.
Solo with that foul on Hallie Augustin. Restart coming for the Bears.
Nice clearance by Cat Hill in the center of the park there.
Ward. And she'll win a free kick.
Wow. Didn't see a lot in that foul. I thought it was actually a very good shielding job by number 13, Blythe Obar from Baylor.
Pagoni, who finds Carpio. Can Rizzo track this down? She can, and bodied off the ball, and then cleared away, and then a San Francisco throw-in. Nice opportunity for the Dons now. Over the head of Ward. Vasquez got a touch to it. It'll be a San Francisco corner. Their first of the match. Their bench likes it, alleviating a little bit of pressure. It'll be taken by Vasquez or Carpio. Carpio raising her hand. Doesn't look like it's going to be Vasquez. Carpio's service into the area. Cat Hill. Cruyff turn. Doesn't get all the way through. Kamansky will track it down on the left. Put the ball back in over the head of Lunsford. Having a good day today. Kaylin Lunsford just scored 1 goal in her career prior to today. 1 goal in 2021. And so having a career evening thus far. As Vasquez looking to get the ball back into the feet of Lunsford. One back by Vasquez, and she's got a free kick. Obar overstepping.
You don't see Vasquez get upset too often, and she didn't really get upset there, but she's like, referee, what's going on here?
Just like that, huh? Free kick. Samantha Kerwood-Wagner behind the ball. And the referee's going to have some words.
As he should. Can't just bowl people over. So says I.
Pagoni has a go from distance, and it's not too far off. What a go by Kaya Pagoni.
Did that skim the post? Wow, what a rocket.
Well, you heard the coaching staff call her name out from the sideline.
I guess they were calling her out to give her a green light. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely.
And with a shot like that, why not? "26 minutes into this. You're just joining us on the broadcast.
There were 3 goals scored in the first 13 and a half minutes of this game. 2 goals from Kaylin Lunsford, only to be answered by Hannah Augustin, which makes this scoreline 2-1. And it's been a highly attacking match thus far, too. Plenty of chances and half chances. Both teams try to play. Don't just try to hoof the ball over the top and play very direct. Not like there's anything wrong with that. Which is...
I knew that saying was coming.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Or just to play direct, but nothing wrong with that.
Well, you know, I always say, you know, teams have to learn to play both. Let's say you're an attacking possession type of attacking team. Well, you have to learn to play against a team that's going to play direct from the back, over the midfield, and into the front line. You have to learn to deal with it. So it is what it is. No one's right, no one's wrong. That's the beauty of the game.
Right, and that's what Michelle Leonard expressed to me prior to the game in our pre-match chat. Was she wanted folks to know that it's a pretty significant style of play and change, that from a direct to trying to play. And then she said, not like there's anything wrong with that, but I want to play a little bit more dynamic. I want to teach them how to play a little bit, play out of the back, play a little bit more dynamic. And then she added, can we put it all together? Because they're 3 matches away from starting conference play. Chance on here now. It's well worked. The overlapping run, the shot comes in, and it's just over the bar.
And that was a very good attacking play, particularly by number 17, Merrill, who held the ball at the last minute, drawing the defender Pagoni in, and then dishing it off for her teammates for a shot. Not sure how that went wide, but it did, just wide.
Just wide there.
But back to the possession-style soccer that so many people like to try to play these days. That's what players want. But the coach has to do what's best for the team at all times. And if you don't have the possession-orientated, skilled players to play possession throughout all 3 phases of the game, or 4 phases of the game, should you do it?
Well, almost another opportunity and a good through ball there.
That's it. It's a really interesting play. So there was a Baylor forward clearly offsides, but she didn't receive the ball. They didn't try to play the ball to her. So the assistant referee, correctly under the current rules, didn't raise her flag, but they're keeping possession here. So it's really interesting how these rules affect the game.
That was Micah Beasley with that effort there. Caught well by Nail. Down the field, Marie Marlowe, a substitute. Jim Millender has changed his entire front 3. Marie Marlowe on the left side. Ashley Jordan through the middle. And Ellie Weissenberg on the right side. So, changing that front 3. Jamison Ward finds Weissenberg. And Marlowe on the left. Such a dynamic player, Marie Marlowe, going now into her senior year. Had some injury issues recently, but
she's come back strong. It's great to see her back so healthy, so fast again, because she had a very serious knee injury and surgery, as you're about to mention.
Yeah, and I think at some point she had injured her shoulder or her wrist in...
Well, I believe she broke her nose at the beginning of the season and then tore her ACL at the end of the season, if I'm correct.
Well, good to have her back in the Dons side. Not a bad player to take off the bench. Has scored some very important goals for this Dons
She
team.
certainly has. And she's been a player who can play left back, left wing, right wing. So, real asset to the Dons.
Throw in far side.
And expect this to be like a cross almost.
We've played half hour. San Francisco 2, Baylor 1. Another throw in. San Francisco keen to take their time. Here's Marlowe. At the end line, Marie Marlowe. Falls for El Solo. Another throw in on that far side. That's the goal scorer, Augustin. And now Merrill, who leads Baylor in scoring so far this season. They've only scored 7 goals. And this is their 7th match. Quick effort by El Solo. Trying to see the goalkeeper off her line.
A little ambitious, I'll say. I'll leave it at that.
And right on cue, she's substituted. Jacqueline Mendoza in the match for her. Kohlberg, right side. Likes to get up and down that right wing, Kohlberg. An assist down that right with Jenna Patterson. This is Weissenberg. Nice work. And right to the goalkeeper.
And Weissenberg did a very good job to hold off the defender, keeping her body between the ball and the defender. She did get a shot off, but certainly not with a lot of power.
Mendoza into the feet of Ashley Jordan, who looked to leave it for Vasquez. The shot comes in from distant by Ward. Not bad there from San Francisco. They've done what they've needed to do, pressing high, getting a couple goals from pressing high, continuing to create chances by their high press. Kohlberg. And it'll be one back here by Jamison Ward, who slips and falls as she looked to get forward. Baylor throw in on the far side. Over the top, it's lovely. Oh, and it hits the bar. Micah Beasley almost had her team level. So close.
Yeah, USF making some critical mistakes here, diving in for tackles well far away from the goal when they don't need to do that, freeing up Baylor to attack.
Chance on here. It's crossed in. Kerwood Wagner looks to clear the ball away. Does. Out for a San Francisco throw. Vasquez will be withdrawn. Baylor will make another change as well. Anna Gorlock in the match. Kaylee Abels will go from center back to play center forward now for Baylor.
And Charles, we often talk about managing games. It doesn't always have to be late in the second half. Like USF has to manage this game.
That's an expertly timed ball, and San Francisco had to do well to get that away.
And that's what I'm talking about. You don't get split in the back, particularly through the middle. That's a defender's no-no. This is what we're talking about, managing the game. They just need to keep their structure, keep 8-9 players behind the ball at all time defensively, and then go forward when appropriate.
Crossed in, Nail is there.
This is what good teams do. They manage their play, they manage the game at particular points in the game.
Lorelei Stramrud in the game at center back for Baylor. Sophomore from Tomball, Texas. Just a little bit of a tactical shift from Coach Michelle Leonard. Again, in her first season at Baylor, she was part of the 2021 United Soccer Coaches Regional Staff of the Year, the third time her and her staff have garnered the honor and the second time since 2019. Really impressive record.
Sure sounds like it.
And they went to 9 different postseasons in her time. In the 39th minute, around 6 minutes to go until halftime. This game's had a lot in it. Both teams, you can see, trying to open up the passing lanes. It's been somewhat of a good learning opportunity from our vantage point and from other folks, just to see what teams do in the final third, trying to get that diagonal, that final ball. It's been on for both of these two teams. Here's Weissenberg, and the goalkeeper comes out, Treywick, to make the save. That's her most important one of the day thus far.
Yep, she had to be on her toes, winning the ball at the top of the box there, right before Weissenberg could steal it off her. But you're right, and oftentimes the attacks, men or women, lack imagination in the offensive third. You know, coaches can't coach creativity out of players. They, rather than always say pass, 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 they should encourage players to take on defenders, get in and around the defender, get behind them, and take a chance on goal. That's what fans want to see. Creativity, goals.
Mack is offside there. Good build-up play by Baylor. Coming up on just 5 minutes to go in this first half.
And when goals are scored so early, and multiple goals scored so early, doesn't it feel like the half has dragged on? I won't make you answer that. But one could say there is that feeling.
Well, both teams have still gone for it and still wanted to continue to score.
Yeah.
And that hasn't showed. Neither side has gone into a defensive shell and said, I'm just going to park the bus.
And some teams, you know, are very happy to play in their own half and knock the ball around and so on and so forth and go nowhere. Both of these teams, like you said, want to go forward, are trying to do the right thing, trying to play through midfield, and certainly trying to get into their offensive attack.
Kamansky finds Ashley Jordan, who loses out. Ward is there, and free kick going Baylor's way. They're going to send numbers forward, Baylor. This is a good chance for the visitors to get a second. Stramrud's in there. Merrill is in there. And Megan Nail was able to come down with it.
Very good job by Megan Nail, really commanding that box and winning the ball out of the air. That's exactly what you want your goalkeeper to do.
Ball bouncing in the back line here. Ashley Jordan looked to come down with it off of the outside of the boot of Jamison Ward. This is a lovely run. The shot comes in. Megan Nail has to make the save. Kaylee Abels. Abels, who started at center back, the fifth-year graduate student from Waco, local product.
Yeah, she did a great job there, cutting the defender and getting a shot on goal, but Megan Nail was in a very good position to parry that ball over the crossbar.
Corner for Baylor, an important corner indeed. They have a good opportunity. Merrill Augustin at the back post.
And that's just a wasted opportunity that any player wants back. As soon as you kick it, you know it's no good.
Well, we're in the 43rd minute. Jamison Ward will be withdrawn. She'll get an extra little rest or two. Talked about her at the beginning of this game, Joe, and how important she is for the San Francisco Dons. Lily Lockney in the match now in place of Ward. Olivia Mack, right side. Olivia Mack's cross, cut out by Kaya Pagoni. Bouncing around, Marie Marlowe will corral. Trying to stay goal side and win back possession. She can't. And this is Stramrud. Baylor sensing their opportunity is now. And why not at the end of this half? Can San Francisco create a counterattack? It's Lockney, still Lockney. She works her way through. Mendoza, was she brought to ground? Referee says play on. Lockney, nice ball into the feet of Ashley Jordan, who goes out wide for Marie Marlowe. Left side, still Marlowe, turns the corner. Marlowe, was she taken down? No. Weissenberg, does she go down? No. Mendoza, top of the area. Looking for Weissenberg, and away by Baylor.
And that was a nice attack. Ashley Jordan started that attack by going out wide. They were playing very narrow up until that moment. And then through that wide pass, they were able to create opportunities in and around the penalty box.
Marlowe on the turn. Marlowe taken to ground. Here comes Mack, the substitute. The junior from Manhattan Beach. She's probably enjoying a homecoming. Been lively down that right side. And Anna Gorlock taken to ground with 20 seconds to go in this half. Pace has certainly picked up the last 5 minutes, especially on the Baylor side, sensing their opportunity was right before the end of this half.
Well, I would agree with that, and I think that comes from spark off the bench from both sides. USF certainly having a little spark from their forwards and substitute midfielders, and that's exactly what you want your substitutes to do. Come off the bench and bring life back into the lineup.
Well, it was Kaylin Lunsford's brace which separates these two teams. Her first goals since last season. She's having a career night thus far. Kaylin Lunsford, the center forward from San Francisco, who scored 2 goals. On the flip side, Hannah Augustin was able to answer for Baylor, the left back, and she gets a goal. Her team very much in this match, So we're headed to the break. We played 45. You don't want to miss the second half here on the WCC Networks. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your afternoon. Heart of San Francisco, the 7x7. With the game at 2-1 in favor of the home side, San Francisco Dons. Lindsay Chow will start on the left for Alex Carpio, and Kenna Roth in the back line for Kaya Pagoni. For Baylor, coming into central midfield is Sky Leach. And starting out wide right is Sarah Horniak. Bit of a change of shape for Baylor in this second half, and continuing her time up top is Kaylee Abels as they chase the game. This is Obar, right side. Blythe Obar in the corner, closed down. El Solo looking to make the tackle. Goes through the feet of Kamansky, and San Francisco able to break somewhat now. Chow looking for Lunsford, who scored the first 2 goals of this game.
It's good to see Lindsay Chow back in the lineup, even if it's maybe for a short stint here.
Jamison Ward in midfield. Look at that ball win by Ward, looking for Rizzo. Can't find her. Augustin, who scored the lone goal for Baylor thus far. And that was a good diagonal for Kaylee Abels. And on the run there, and a quick go. Didn't get all of that, but and a quick one at that. Kohlberg. Obar.
And that's a really good ball through by Obar.
Merrill. And El Solo winning it back. Rizzo, right side against the goal scorer, Augustin. First touch really let her down there.
But a terrific ball spread out wide by Marissa Vasquez.
Rizzo, Vasquez on here, top of the area for Ward. She'll have a go. Ward and Obar right in front of that effort. Koyman. She was active in the first half, creating chances, good hold-up play, distributing the rest of her teammates, leading the line for this Baylor team. And the wind just starting to pick up a little bit at Negoesco Stadium in this second half. You had noted it right as we turned off our microphones at the end of the first half, Joe. Not going to totally play a factor just yet, but there was no wind at all when we started this game.
Has picked up a little bit. Actually, quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's significantly cooler already.
Right, and coming from San Francisco, in terms of the heat, we welcome this breeze, don't we?
Absolutely. That's a lovely throw in, top of the area for Lunsford. Still Kaylin Lunsford. She leaves off. Jamison Ward into the pathway of Vasquez, who couldn't quite get it on the turn. Held in here by Rizzo. Crossed in, away. The penalty area. Now Lunsford over to her left. Lunsford! A hat-trick for Kaylin Lunsford. And San Francisco has a third. A career night for Kaylin Lunsford. It is 1, 2, and 3. With 50 minutes played, she gets her third of the night.
And Charles, the night is not done yet. But one of the great things that Lunsford did on that play was she released it really quickly. She didn't take a lot of time. She didn't telegraph it. She put it on her left peg and put it in the corner of the net. Like good forwards do.
Well, could this be a breakout game for Kaylin Lunsford, maybe turning it into something more. She has been the preferred first choice at center forward. We talked a little bit about how the goals necessarily haven't come, but it doesn't mean that her side hasn't been supported by her and by her work. But 3 goals for the center forward after just having 1 goal prior to this in her entire career.
So to answer your question, absolutely this is a breakout performance by her. And like I said, it's not over yet, but she's always worked hard. She's a very fast forward, and she hasn't got the breaks for those goals in the past, but today it's going her way.
And they're well-taken goals, too, I might add. Kenna Roth, Kamansky, nice little turn here. Megan Nail comes out, and the save made. Kaylee Abels had an excellent opportunity.
Well, she created that opportunity for herself, but Megan Nail really coming up big for the Dons, coming out one-on-one, stifling that attack.
Here's Kamansky for Lindsay Chow. And Baylor maintaining the front foot.
And you knew when USF scored the 3rd goal, you knew that Baylor wasn't done. You knew they were going to come back, and sure enough, I would count on them to continue knocking on the door for that 2nd goal.
Well, Baylor, for a good portion of this game, has been the better team in some aspects, especially after San Francisco scored the first 2. And as you had mentioned earlier, my very consistent broadcast partner, USF alumnus Joe Dugan, that it's hard to start managing a game up 2-0 when you've scored 2 goals the first 13 minutes of the game. Sometimes there may be a little bit of a lull or you let off. But Kaylin Lunsford, back to her just for a second, the level of composure tonight,
yes,
has been just 10 out of 10.
Absolutely. She's in the groove. She's feeling it. She's feeling comfortable in those positions, and she's executing. Forgive me, Charles, but who else, forgive me for not knowing this, but who else did Baylor play on this road trip?
And Baylor will take on Gonzaga later in this road trip.
Okay.
And they'll play that match on Sunday. Ball almost squirts back through here for Lunsford.
And if USF can put 2 or 3 more of those combinations together, they're going to be much more successful. But they're forcing the play on that last pass. I know it's easier said than done, but sometimes when attacking, when breaking lines, players in their minds, they need to slow things down. Yes, they speed up the play, but sometimes they need to slow things down in their mind, and then it might come easier for them.
Throw it on the far side. It's going to be taken by Horniak. She started on the right side.
Cat Hill doing a great job defending that, not allowing the attacker to turn and have any sort of shot. Lindsay Chow out here on the left. Can she break through?
Horniak dispossessed. Lindsay Chow on the diagonal. Was on there for Rizzo.
Quite ambitious, to be honest. That was maybe a 40-yard attempt. Very, very hard to connect those.
Collected by Vasquez, and then stolen away. On the run, it's Augustin to the outside. Shot comes in and off Cat Hill. Baylor certainly bringing it in this second half.
They certainly are. You can see they have nearly 10 players in their offensive half, really pressing. Again, sign of a well-coached team.
Yeah, they changed their shape. Their center back, Kayla Abels, playing as that second center forward there.
Well, it's one thing to want to do something, but to get your team to buy into what you want to do and then go out and do it, again, very well coached and trained.
Vasquez, Kerwood Wagner, and Ward.
Kerwood Wagner doing a terrific job keeping possession and opening things up and then potentially changing the field here.
San Francisco will welcome SMU, Southern Methodist University, on Sunday. 1 o'clock kickoff here on the WCC TV. This is Lunsford. Still for Rizzo.
Oh, love Rizzo's movement off the ball. Last pass there, just a little bit too much. But that was a nice combination between Lunsford and Rizzo. Again, Rizzo moving nicely off the ball in order to get that ball off of Rizzo and then curl back inside for a nice offensive attack. But you can see that direct play is almost coming back in now a little bit more for Baylor. They're wasting no time getting from the back to the front. And they're really pressing here, putting on subs, getting some fresh legs in there, getting some new energy in there. Let's see how they do here.
Kerwood Wagner.
I think Kerwood Wagner's had a very solid game today.
Yeah, she has.
A lot of time left, but she's been solid defensively. You know, Jim Millender's got to be happy with his offensive output here so far in this game. Again, more than 30 minutes to go. But defensively, I think they've done a good job, but I think he'll tell you that they can improve on their shape and their movement in the back line.
Anna Gorlock in the match. And she replaces El Solo. There's going to be another substitution here for Baylor. And Jenna Patterson going to be reintroduced into this game. Quickly into the feet of Abels. Away by Gorlock. Well, I'll tell you, Abel started as a center back earlier in this game, but she is energetic as all and has injected life into the front line for Baylor, all over the place, winning throw-ins, etc., creating chances. Here's Chow, who didn't start the game for San Francisco, but...
Wasn't that a terrific ball, Charles?
You do expect her to, and Ward's layoff almost there for Rizzo.
Man, I'd love to see more of that. What a great ball into Vasquez's feet from Chow out on the left. Really looking forward for that forward attacking pass. And then just a little bit wide on the right-hand side there.
Kenna Roth and Cat Hill, the new center back pairing for San Francisco. Lots of gestures to be able to defend Koyman and to defend Abels. Certainly a handful, both of them. And they've done their job so far as Koyman and Abels looking to find the back of the net, trying to get another goal, get their team back in this, maybe get it to 3-2.
Yeah, that's a really solid back four for the Dons right now. Pagoni coming out, Roth coming in, but Pagoni, expect her to come back in probably at midfield. I know that Roth is just coming off of injury or sickness, I believe, so she's back in, I believe, for the first time today.
Vasquez looking for Lunsford. Mueller. Hallie Augustin for Patterson. Left side, Jenna Patterson. Oh, that's lovely. Patterson, does she keep it in? No, unfortunately not. And out for a goal kick.
But you're right, Charles. Very nice attacking move to get to the byline before. She was trying to get it before the before it went out of the end line to get a crossover, but not in time. But you could see the speed of play, or the pace that Baylor is playing with, is with a bit of urgency, and you like to see that out of a team who's down. They're not giving up. They're not playing so slow or methodically. They are really pushing forward.
And every single Baylor player, except for two, is actually warming up on the far sideline. Probably got a whole new starting 11 on the far side as well. Michelle Leonard wanting to make sure her team knows they're with fresh legs, fresh subs available, as that ball is caught there by Megan Nail. Isabella Esparza in the game now for San Francisco.
And I guess you could say that's the beauty of college soccer, allowing all these subs. Some people say it's not traditional, but that's the rules in the college conference, and you can do this.
Maddie Algie in the game, and here's Carpio, and away there at the last moment by Ava Kohlberg. And Kohlberg marshals that out for a corner, the first corner of the second half for either side. It'll be a San Francisco corner.
And even though Carpio didn't get on the end of that for her favored left-footed shot, it was still a very good attacking pass by Marissa Vasquez to earn a corner kick.
'61st minute corner. Comes in. Does it come off of a shoulder? Vasquez closed down by Algie. Still Vasquez. And right off the chest of Ava Kohlberg. We'll have to take a break there just for a second.
I'm sure she'll need to take a break.
Knock the wind out. As that cross was whipped in with some force. Referee stops the clock so everybody can catch a breath.
Yeah. It's not a fun feeling, but I think she'll be okay when she catches her breath here. And fair play to the referee for giving her a minute here to catch her breath and get her win back.
Vasquez on the turn, operating in a good tight space. Carpio gets her cross in, and the offside flag raised far side. Baylor will have numbers and will be able to push. Almost attacking with 5-6 into the final third directly. They will play a little bit more direct.
And it's going to be a fun challenge to see how USF deals with that direct play. But they have a solid back four there, so let's see how they do. But you're right, Charles. Good analysis on your behalf.
Oh, why, thank you, my partner. I appreciate that. Always a pleasure to do these matches with you.
Always fun.
Augustin into Kohlberg's feet, who plays a ball over the top. Looking for Abels. A little bit more direct for you from Baylor?
Yes, they're not just hoofing it, though. They are certainly trying to play down the wings. We've seen now them go from the left to the right, and they certainly have a plan. They're just not kicking it, hoping. They are really trying to use the fast forwards feet down the flanks and then cross it in front of goal for a shot.
Ashley Jordan back in the game for the San Francisco Dons.
Ashley Jordan doing a very good job winning that ball back in the center of midfield.
Ball on the far flank. Nina Konendatis, and she's got to throw in.
Konandanis showing very good pace down the right-hand wing.
Held off there by Ashley Jordan. Esparza into the area. The goalkeeper comes out, so does Carpio. And able to come down with it is Treywick. Well, she started all 5 of Baylor's 6 matches this season. Excuse me, 5 of Baylor's 6 matches this season, the junior from Austin. And she had 9 career saves against #1 North Carolina.
And I have to say, Baylor's spacing is really, really good, very organized, and very consistent.
All the way back to Nails, 65th minute here on the WCC networks. Throw in for Baylor. Both sides have gone to their benches early in this second half. Lots of substitutions. The game started in a pretty hot moment of the day. The heat of the day, rather. 4 o'clock kickoff. And the wind starting to come on in now. A lot cooler wind.
But we've been overall very lucky here in the city. Just across the Bay Bridge, it's 107 degrees, I believe, in Walnut Creek today. Even hotter in Sacramento and the valley areas. So we're very lucky, and we have this nice little breeze coming off the coast.
Haven Terry with that half effort that came off of Algie's foot that trickled all the way through to Megan Nail, that half chance, as we're speaking about the weather.
You know,
sometimes we're meteorologists up here, just for about 30 seconds, but back to the football. Go on.
But I was just going to say that not crazy about these long kicks from USF. Sure. It's almost like these games, when you have a 3-1 lead, is really an opportunity to work on playing out of the back.
Ashley Jordan taken to ground.
Again, it's not wrong. It's just, I think, a lost opportunity. They don't do it every time. Now, had they do it every time, it is a lost opportunity, but they are mixing it up. They are trying to play out of the back once in a while and sending it long every once in a while.
Free kick for the Dons. It's going to be taken by Isabel Esparza. Got Ward in there. Anna Gorlock, Ashley Jordan. Ashley Jordan gets ahead to it, as so does Nina Konadaris. And as Ashley Jordan got ahead to it, comes off of Konadaris' head, out for a goal kick.
Well, typically when a ball is lofted in, that is a defender's ball all day long, but for whatever reason, 2 USF players got to that first.
It's a short goal kick. Ava Kohlberg.
But Charles, as we watch all these great student athletes play out here, it's interesting that just a few years ago, there wasn't really anywhere for these players to go after college. And now there is. There's multiple leagues. And it's, I hope that the United States develops a league of their own where they produce the best players and bring the best European or South American players into U.S. rather than sell them off to Europe or elsewhere. Let's hope that the U.S. supports that.
Lovely layoff there. Almost falls for Konadaris.
And not just the federation, but the general public, the soccer community overall. And I'm sure you agree with me.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Thank you.
And Oakland Roots are going to be having a women's side next year.
Yeah, and I think you'll hear of other women's teams in the Northern California / Southern California pop up as well. I shouldn't say pop up, be formed.
NWSL potentially coming to the Bay Area. Group led by Brandy Chastain and her cohort, trying to bring professional women's soccer to the Bay Area.
And there's been no better time in terms of enthusiasm, momentum, record sellout crowds for the women's game, as there should be. It's a long overdue.
And a World Cup coming up next year, next summer.
I mean, you watched the Euro finals, right? England playing in Wembley Stadium, winning the Euros. That was a fantastic game. I mean, the pace of the game, the goals, it's fantastic to watch. So the game's really improved. And a lot of these countries have improved in a very short amount of time. For example, Spain, England. It's not a walkover when the U.S. women's national team plays against these countries like it used to be.
Kohlberg down the right, and it's going to be a throw-in for San Francisco. 70th minute here on the WCC network. 20 minutes to go. San Francisco 3, Baylor 1. El Solo in the game from Marissa Vasquez.
And
Lorelei Stramrud back in the game for Baylor, replacing Kaylee Abels.
Sorry, Charles. I was just going to say, as a fan of the game, you always hate to see Vasquez go out, but I agree with that. Hopefully, Jim Millender is going to give her a rest. This is an opportunity to do just that. Very important game coming up against SMU on Sunday. Not that this game is over by any means, but it is a rare opportunity to give her a break.
Obar fouled by El Solo. Free kick for Baylor. They'll have a chance to send numbers in.
I've been very impressed with Obar the entire game. She is tough. She gets fouled. She gets right back up and gets on with the play.
Yeah, sitting right in front of that back for Obar, the junior from Frisco. Now this is Kohlberg on the right side, wants to put the cross in. Still Kohlberg, but muscled off of the ball there by the freshman in Alex Carpio. And there's a yellow card now going to El Solo and a stoppage of play.
And those are the mental mistakes that can't happen in more important games or when games are on the line. Number one, losing the ball at her feet in that area where she could release the ball forward. Secondly, getting in front of the throw-in taker without, you know, those things are learning moments.
Throw in far side, near side, closest to our broadcast position. And Koyman looking to get through and out for a goal kick. A bit of an awkward half tackle. Wasn't sure if the referee was going to blow his whistle there or not. You can hear the coaching staff on the far side point to their head and tell El Solo from the sideline to keep her head. And if they can keep their heads here, San Francisco, they may be able to get an important result against an important side. Konidadis crosses the ball in. Backstick is Carpio. And not able to get around that to keep possession. Three goals tonight from Kaylin Lunsford, a breakout game from the senior. Kohlberg. Here's Alex Carpio, left side, still Carpio.
Oh, wow, that was interesting.
Augustin in there, Solo in there. Could it fall here for Ashley Jordan? No, it's Algie who picks up the ball for Patterson on the turn. Held in by Kenna Roth, and what a lovely little ball there for Kamansky. Solo, Carpio. Away by Stramrud. Isabella Esparza able to keep possession and find Kenna Roth, who's in a bit of some traffic. And San Francisco can clear their lines, but too much there just by Esparza, maybe the curse of the commentator. Ashley Merrill in the game now. And she replaces Koyman.
And USF playing a fairly tight line there in the back line, disabling Baylor from getting on the end of that through ball.
Baylor still building. They just need one chance or one half chance to get themselves back into this game. And that'll just sail out for a goal kick. Another substitution coming for the Bears. Here's Carpio, Kamansky, and she keep it in.
And that was a really good effort for an overlapping run by Kamansky.
Stramrud. Augustin. Getting numbers into that final third, Baylor. Almost 4 in attack now. 2 center forwards, 2 wingers playing remarkably high, 3 in the back, and lots going on in central midfield.
Which is precipitating that direct play, bypassing midfield, right? Over the top, trying to use the width as much as they can, but not going through midfield. So far, USF dealing with it very well, very organized in the back, keeping the Baylor Bears far from goal. So Piccone comes in for Ward in midfield, which I suspected that would happen, and gives Ward a really well-deserved break.
Cathill. Lunsford, who has been the difference maker thus far in this game.
You could say that. How excited was she when she got that third goal? It's great to see.
Vasquez, that's actually the second hat trick this year for this San Francisco team. Marissa Vasquez scoring a hat trick against Portland State earlier in the season.
That's right.
Haven't had too many hat tricks and
well,
multiple hat tricks.
It's very rare. At this level, it's very rare. So congratulations to her. She'll remember this day for a long, long time.
Pagoni. Weissenberg's in there. Vasquez collects. Pagoni still Vasquez on the turn. Trewick
And that's
on her line.
That's what Vasquez can do for you. She can create something out of very little. Unfortunately for her, she did not get a lot of power on that left-footed shot.
Brought down by Roth for Carpio. Kohlberg. Still Kohlberg. Onto her left. Away by Pagoni. Augustin.
Well, it's really interesting. Jim Millender and Pinjar Najjar implementing a different defensive strategy than you'll often see them implement. They are really sitting back with a line of confrontation withdrawn to maybe midfield.
Lunsford on here for Vasquez, looking back for Lunsford again. That counterattack from San Francisco, and Weissenberg puts her shot in here in the 80th minute.
Oftentimes you'll see USF Dons pressing high in their defensive half, but today, not so much.
Vasquez, Lunsford, Vasquez again. Carpio overlapping run on the left. Carpio sees the goalkeeper off her line, wants to have a go like she did last week. A replica of almost what she did last week, and over the bar. Anna Gorlock has Carpio, who finds Vasquez.
Vasquez with a pass just a little bit too leading and gives the ball away for a Baylor free kick.
That's a good run by Patterson, getting to the end line, defended by Cat Hill.
Lunsford shielding the ball very well.
Weissenberg for Carpio. Still Carpio. Second minute of this game here on the WCC network. One more change coming for San Francisco. Marie Marlowe going to be introduced for Carpio to see out the remainder of this match with just around 8 minutes and 8 seconds to go. Headed on here. Still, it's Algie, her cross, looking for Patterson, away by Esparza. Weissenberg looking to make that tackle. Held in well, though, by Kohlberg. Down this right side.
And this is really an exercise in patience for the Dons. Again, used to really pressing much higher in the field. Now they're being asked to sit back in a block of 11. And again, it's working, but it is different for them.
Stromrud out to the goal scorer, Augustin. Put in by Patterson, up in the air, bouncing around. It's Algie, and it's just wide. Just wide there by Maddie Algie, the senior from Highland Village, Texas.
And that was a really nice shot. Again, quick release, but it did look like the Dons defense had that covered. And you love to see these substitutions because it's keeping the pace of the game at a very good level.
Algie, who scored a goal in the preseason against LSU, still looking for her first goal in non-conference play. But she's been making some things happen after she's gotten off the bench this afternoon. Esparza will just chase that out. 85th minute, or approaching the 85th minute. Mendoza in the game, replacing Marissa Vasquez now. Ball will drop here for Gorlock. Mendoza. Roth. Kamansky. Still Kamansky. For Kaylin Lunsford. Maybe a fourth here for Kaylin Lunsford. Kaylin Lunsford. Trawick makes the save. She wants more. She's not stopping at just 3.
Right, but you didn't see that out of Lunsford in the previous games. So these goals are giving her confidence to take those opportunities, and that's exactly what you want out of a forward. You want a forward to think scoring goals first in that particular area.
Kohlberg, right side. And away by Pagoni. Chasing this is Weissenberg.
And I've really liked what I've seen out of Weissenberg as a sub from the bench. She's adding spark. She's getting forward. Lots of space right now on the right-hand side.
And she's slowed her pace down a bit and found Esparza. Back to Weissenberg. Ashley Merrill. Merrill, who's come on as a striker now for Baylor. Leads Baylor with 2 goals thus far this season. Out of the 6 games, now thus her 7th. Ball bouncing around, still ping-ponging around, and Megan Nail comes out. Well, last year, the match between these two teams had to be stopped in the 71st minute due to the heat. We'll make it to 90 minutes today with San Francisco just looking to see the game through it, 3-1. Baylor continuing to attack.
Well, Charles, speaking of the heat, UC Davis had a game today that kicked off at 9:30 a.m. in Davis to avoid that heat. How about that?
Well, that is quite something. Weissenberg getting down this right side, and she's fouled. Fouled by the goal scorer, Augustin. Weissenberg, as you had said, you've been impressed by on the flank.
I have. Very active, asking for the ball, getting the ball, putting the ball in dangerous positions. '88th minute. Mendoza. And I like Mendoza's spirit. She is really active, going in for all these balls.
And Marie Marlowe, shoulder to shoulder. no foul called initially, and then the referee does blow his whistle. It's going San Francisco's way.
Yeah, I didn't expect that to go in that direction for the call.
Free kick. Gorlock, Kamansky behind it. Not a ton of San Francisco players in this. Gorlock has a go from distance. Goalkeeper Trewitt just jumping on her line.
Why not?
Why not? She was assured of it, but from this angle, you'd think the way that Gorlock hit the ball, but it was swirling a certain way, kind of knuckled a bit away from her. With 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. Throw in San Francisco, far side.
And I think, if I'm correct, 3 of USF's back 4, well, including the goalie, 4 of the back 5 have played all what will be 90 minutes.
.40 seconds to go now here on the WCC network. In a match that was a showcase of offensive firepower, especially in the first 15 minutes. And where both teams truly want to play a little bit more dynamically, don't want to just play directly. Esparza up in the air. Brought down by Augustin. She'll just put it into the space, and that will see the match out. Well, it was the Kaylin Lunsford show this afternoon into early evening. A hat trick for the senior Kaylin Lunsford. A breakout performance, superstar performance from Kaylin Lunsford this afternoon. Baylor was able to get a goal through Hannah Augustin. They hung in there for a while, all the way till halftime, had some of their best chances right before the halftime with 5 minutes to go. Came out in the second half with a very aggressive shape, chasing the game, only to concede that third goal as Lunsford was on the hat trick.
Well, they didn't play like a team that was down the vast majority of the game. They didn't play like they were down 3-1. To their credit, they really did try to execute their game plan. They played the style I think that they wanted to. Yes, they went to a little bit more direct style later in the game, but nothing wrong with that, especially when you're down, trying to get more goals. So overall, both teams, I thought, played very well and should be proud. I think future's bright for both those teams. I'm impressed with what the Baylor coach is doing so quickly in her tenure there at Baylor.
Michelle Leonard now in her first season at Baylor after spending many seasons at DBU. Baylor next will go on the road on Sunday and be in Spokane against a West Coast Conference foe in Gonzaga. That'll be a 3 p.m. Central Time kickoff, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. You can see that game also on the WCC network. For the San Francisco Dons, they take on SMU, Southern Methodist University, here on Sunday, a 1 p.m. kickoff on the WCC networks. Baylor drops to 2-3-2. San Francisco up to 3-1-2 for everyone here at the WCC network. We appreciate you tuning into our broadcast tonight, wherever you are across the country, in our region, or across the world. Cheers. Thanks for growing the game with us. From San Francisco, the city by the bay, the 7x7, and from Stephen Negoesco Memorial Stadium in the heart of the Hilltop, it is San Francisco 3, Baylor 1. Have a great rest of your evening.